review from the last meeting. I don't know if everybody got a copy, there's copies back there on the table.
And I should put them on the other side.
We can take a few minutes to review.
You always had that. That white hair.
For a while I fought it, and then I said, hey, I ain't fighting anymore.
Of course, that's better than, still better than that.
At least I still got some on top, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just woke up one morning and just don't turn white.
Sometimes we try to have a little meeting, teaching them the guys who have that about it. So they want to bring the table in and all that, and what goes on down there.
You know that?
You know,
Yeah, I'll wait.
when I find out. I'll let
Just
you
let me
know.
know, yeah, send me a text or something. She's a 14.
No paper?
Behind you.
Oh.
She starts her very
Anybody have any input on the minutes? Can I have a motion to accept the minutes into the record?
I'll second.
Minutes are part of the record. Treasurer's report, Lorna's not here. Looks like the balance we have is $258,000 and $258,113.69. Lorna's not here to ask any questions, so I'm not gonna ask for any input on the budget. The balance looks correct to me from the last meeting. I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report into record. Tracy? Second time. Second. Lake activities, doesn't look like one this year. Does anybody have any input on lake activities from anybody here from the auxiliary? I know we have dumpster days, September 27th to 28th. We need people to sort of monitor the dumpsters, so if anybody is willing to volunteer, see me after the meeting. You know, put your name on the list and I'll contact you when we know what our slots are. It's usually a 2-hour shift and it's not too overwhelming, so.
When did you say the date was?
September 27th to 28th.
September?
Yep.
Thanks.
So what's that, 2 weekends from now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We asked the city that welcome the gate during that dumpster time.
Look into that. isn't here to report on lake treatments, so if you come to the CD meeting on Thursday, you probably get some information about that. The roads committee, our roads committee members are Dave Carnell, Chad Crum, and Joel Endicott. Chad is over there in the Titleist hat, and I think he really took the lead on the roads, so thanks, Chad. Price Excavating will begin grading and prepping roads for paving on September 16th, so I don't know, has anybody noticed any work going on? Or?
They pushed it back till Thursday.
Thursday?
Something broke down.
Okay. And Dave said that you and Jody were notifying people.
Yeah, I talked to the ones I've seen now, and then he put it on all the social media things.
Okay.
So I noticed that they're gonna do some work on Green Lawn.
Yeah,
You know what kind of work they're gonna be doing on that?
I think they're gonna be paving it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Are they gonna put in a new base, or are they gonna do any work? What they
They're
have?
gonna grade it, and level it up, and then pave it.
Okay.
Cause I know they've been building it up over time, cause it, kind of gets worn out, but,
Mhm.
and I think they're finally gonna pave it.
Okay. Good.
Price is gonna fill as many potholes as possible with any leftover material. And they're also gonna propose a maintenance plan to help keep the roads in good repair, so they'll be coming out on a regular basis, right, Chad?
Yeah, he said probably a couple of times a year.
Okay.
He said they like to do it in the spring, see what the wind is, and then later, before it gets cold, then we'll just make recommendations,
Okay.
what they suggest.
And then they're gonna be looking into some crack filling, and we don't have a schedule for that yet, right?
Dave was talking to the field team to do it about that, so I'm not sure.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the lead on that. Building committee is Clay Robinson, George Beal, Mark Etherton, Steve Korecki. We don't have any requests for variances this month. Are there any updates from the building committee?
I think we got it going on.
Are there any other input from property owners on building requests or anything?
Nope, haven't heard nothing.
Did you-
I was,
Yeah.
denied being able to put up a pole barn. I'm wondering if I want to comment about it now or at next month's meeting. More people are here.
Whatever you feel comfortable doing.
Okay.
If you wanna wait, you can. If you wanna talk about it now, that's fine.
Well, I had two issues to bring up if I could.
Sure.
My name's Phil Toy, told me I live on, Sherwood Cove. I had two things that I wanted to, mention. And one is, I understand why I was denied, because the square footage of what I wanted to put up as part of a residential option, the building committee had a problem with, and I understand that. My first issue though is, the building committee, I guess, is allowed to take a vote. I told that they had unanimously denied it. I'm not sure if the board votes on it now, but as a decision-making body, I don't think that they should be able to meet in secret. I was willing to meet with them. I was put on an email where my application went out to all the members. Two of the members responded that day that they got the email. And one of them asked a number of questions, and I tried to answer those questions as a response. Once I responded to that email, nothing else was heard. All of their conversation was either on the phone to each other or on private emails to each other. I heard nothing back until I was told it was a unanimous vote to deny your application. If they're gonna make a decision, it should be out in the open. And I don't believe that it's right that they're able to deal with this in secret. The second issue, okay, so that's one issue. The second issue is, this is a property owners association, at least that's what it's called. but I think it's run as a homeowners association. And I own a home here also, and I own a lot that's next to me, as well as the one I wanted to build on. I just wanted to go through the numbers so everyone, I know you've probably all heard it before, okay, that there are 1,365 lots on this map, that's up here on the board. And then 69 of those lots are used for the parks. So that leaves 1,296, or almost 1,300 lots that are here. I understand from the clubhouse here that, the number of homes is around 398, so let's call it 400. So that means that 31%, only a third, less than a third, of the lots here are used for homes. Now, a lot of the homeowners, including me, own a lot that's next to them. So let's be generous and say that half the homeowners own another lot, it's either across the street or next to them. Okay, so that would bring it to about 600 lots, but still that comes out to 45%. So in other words, as homeowners, we're still in the minority. There are 55% of people who own these lots here that do not have homes, and they have no representation on our board. I don't hear of anybody discussing property rights. And when I bought those 2 lots on Shore Drive, and I want to build a barn on it, and I'm willing to change it to whatever it needs to be changed to in order to build that, I was told that the covenants say very clearly, you know, that no building, no structure, no shed can be put on a lot unless there's a home next to it. I called, by the way, my lot that I purchased on Shore Drive, it did pass the soil test, so I can't have a septic on it. So I could build a home on it if I wanted to, but I want to build a pole barn, okay? But when I talked to Don Orr from the county health department, he said this Indian Hills area to the very north there, it has a very high water table. And so none of those lots up there, at least the majority of those lots up there, they can't pass septic. If they can't have a septic, they can't have water, and that means they can't build a home there. So what are those people, what can they do with their lot? If you're gonna have a rule that says you can't put a structure on it, you can't put a building on it, you can't put a barn on it, or a shed, what is left for them to do? Except to try and sell their lot, and no one's gonna buy it. Because everyone knows, if you buy a lot here at Lake Holiday, you can't do anything with it unless it's next to your house. I just want to bring that up, okay, because I think we're not a homeowners association, at least not yet.
Well, one of the things I want to point out is
Okay.
like when we call for volunteers to serve on the board, we don't restrict it to homeowners. We put the call out, and if anybody owns a lot, I mean, I even have gone to people who own just lots, and I've asked them, and I've had them say, no, I don't do that. So,
Yeah.
and so, we really have a hard time finding people to serve on the board. And so it just happens that we all own homes here. And
Yeah,
maybe
I'm-
it's because, you know, we have more skin in the game, we feel like, you know, more obligated to serve or something, but, so that's one point. And I don't know about the Indian Hills thing. Does somebody from the building committee, can you?
Well, there are a lot of lots, and you didn't put the number down for that are non-buildable lots. There are lots that won't work for septic and well. There are lots that are low land and flood. So those people that buy those lots, their benefit is the use of the clubhouse, the beach, and then the lake. That's why they buy those lots.
They buy them knowing they're
Knowing
available.
that they're non-buildable lots. So you didn't put that number in there with your statistics there, but I don't know how many exactly there are, but there's quite a few. And just because you own a house and a lot next to it, maybe that lot next to it is non-buildable. If it's over a ravine, which puts watershed into our lake, you can't build on it. So there's a lot of restrictions. You gotta go to the conservancy to find out what those are. But that's another issue. But they're still property owners. That's why we're not an HOA.
I didn't bring this up to be critical of volunteers that serve on the board.
Yeah, I know. I wanna hear feedback, cause I don't think we're gonna get any better if we don't listen to
And I
this.
agree that absentee owners who live in, like for instance, the guy I bought my lots from lives in Lafayette. You know, they have no interest to come down here and participate in this. Okay, so I appreciate the volunteers that serve on our board and, but I do believe that as a property owner, they have a few rights. And one is to be able to improve their land. And with our restrictions, I don't think they're able to do that.
I think people are allowed to improve their land, but there's certain, like, we belong to a property owners association, so when people buy in here, they gotta realize that there are rules that need to be followed. Like, recently, there was a big garage put up on Wellington and Edinburgh. And, some people call it a pole barn or something. I can't speak on behalf of the board, but I think that was a mistake that we let that go up. Because I think if we keep doing that, this place is gonna start looking more like an industrial complex than a residential neighborhood. And I wanna keep it like more residential. And, I don't know, I think a lot of the people I talked to, like, they were upset about that building going up. And rightfully so.
Right there on the corner,
Yeah.
that one.
So, I don't know, I made a note about, greater transparency with the building committee, maybe, communicating better with property owners. I know you guys try your best to do that, and, I just wanna be sensitive to that, concern.
That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that information, and one of the things he said, I do appreciate the building committee, because I know they go through a lot doing that, but is that true that if they don't bring the recommendation to the board? I mean, if they all disagreed with his proposal, they all said it was unanimous, shouldn't that have come to the board and then the board rule on that? Or
Yeah,
does the
that's
building committee?
It's exactly
Or
what
did-
it was.
Oh,
It's
okay.
exactly that.
I didn't understand that.
We don't
straight away give recommendations.
okay.
But no, the procedure is that it goes through the building committee, and the building committee can decide. I mean, it's in our little handbook here.
Right.
It's one of the
But
procedures.
they all decided that it was unanimously, they weren't gonna approve it, but then didn't it come to the board to then rule on that?
It could come to the board to override it, but, I saw the email
Right.
between the building committee and yourself, and I agree with the building committee's,
I mean, I think he has a valid point, though, it should be coming from the board, the recommendation should go
No,
to you.
the building committee decides
They have the right.
unless there is a request for a variance.
Okay, I didn't understand that, okay.
So that's not what you're understanding of it.
We
Okay,
were told flat out,
well, we need to have a meeting, building committee.
just recently.
I understand that the outcome would have been the same, right?
Yeah.
That's what everybody's saying, but I
Right.
just think that it should come to the board, shouldn't it?
Well, we're like consultants.
Yeah, that's what
that
that
give
was my
recommendations to the board.
Right.
That's what we have been.
Right.
But if the building committee-
Discussions though? Am I allowed to hear your discussions?
You did, you were in the loop on our email.
Well, and most of the time, it is if we have questions, additional questions for you.
But I've seen buildings go up. I saw a home go up in Cambridge Shores. That I never saw anything about it. So it doesn't go through us. But if the building committee approves the building plan and, what is it? If they approve the plan and there's no request for a variance, we don't have to see it. But when there's a request for a variance, that's when it comes to the board. That's how the procedure is set up. So, I mean, we could go over, I could show you, I'll show you after the
We
meeting.
never hear whether it's approved or not approved. We have no clue. We go out and look at something and we give our input on it, and then after that, we hear nothing.
We assume that if we all approve it, then it is approved, you know, you guys approve it to the homeowner, but, you know, we don't do that directly.
And like you said, because we deny it, you don't, the board does not have to. We're just giving you a recommendation, making sure that, you know, there's a variance that has to be addressed.
Right, when it's a variance, I know it comes to us.
Right.
But when there's not a variance, I don't think it comes to us.
Well, just
It might-
now-
It might go to somebody to get signed off on.
Just now, I
but
was
it's
reading
not
here
us.
about a couple sheds and a pool that was approved this month. I don't know anything about any sheds. Nobody ever talked to me about any sheds. You heard anything about? Mark?
I'll have to look back.
Yeah,
When
we
you go to
need
the
to
board
be.
president,
It goes to the board
We
president.
keep
Yeah,
talking
so
about,
it's
we
his
keep
job
talking
to
about
pass
meeting
it
and we never do. And we need to.
who
So-
signs the paper?
Clarifying all that.
What's that, Chad?
Those guys.
I was just wondering who actually signed off on the paper.
The board does.
Yeah, cause doesn't the homeowner need a board signature just to get a permit from Montgomery County?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes?
Two board signatures.
Okay, that's what I
Right,
thought.
but that doesn't mean the whole board is seeing it.
Oh, we're not
That might
saying
be a
that, we're
problem.
just saying some of the
That is a
boards seeing
problem.
it. Yeah, that may be a problem,
And like we were saying in the past, the board needs to see what we see, because we make a recommendation and say, yes, you may not agree with it, you're saying, oh, the building committee said yes, so it must be a go. Well, it shouldn't be like that. We're saying yes, but you guys could say no, you know.
Just don't know.
But if you don't know about it, don't have any paperwork on it, you're clueless. So you're going by our recommendation, and it shouldn't be that way.
Right.
We should all be on the same page, like you said, we gotta get together on this.
We should
Some
have a
reason we keep going
meeting the
around.
same day.
Same with the statement here that, I was just reading this, that it says here about the garage, it can be a garage, not a pole barn, if you put in a foundation. It's a pole barn. Pole barns do not have foundations. They have a concrete floor. There's no footing, there's no perimeter structure on that except for poles in the ground. It is a pole barn. And all the time, well, I don't know, you guys, this is put forth for the, I don't know who put this in here, but a pole barn is not a permanent structure, and it is not, because it does not have a foundation. Simple as that. And if you count on it as a garage, well, okay, it's a garage, it's got a concrete floor, it still doesn't have a foundation.
So what if they put concrete piers in the ground and then attach it?
It's not a full perimeter foundation like a house. And if you build a detached garage, you'll have a perimeter foundation all the way around that floor before you put the structure in. Pole barn, you do not. You put your poles in the ground, and after it's all done, you put the concrete in there. You put a floor, 4 inches of concrete. It doesn't hold those poles. The poles are holding that building, the floor is separate.
So what about the ones that have been put in recently?
Each one is being put in differently. Some of them are putting poles in the ground with a puck with gravel around it. Some are concreting it in, some are using some kind of expansion foam, but there is no foundation. Some put a concrete plug in the ground and then they put a bracket on top and put the pole on top of that. It's another way you can do it. That's more permanent than anything, but it's still not a permanent structure. You can look it up on, Google it if you want, Pauline. It's not a permanent structure, and that's why insurance companies have trouble insuring them, and if it's a barndominium, you definitely have trouble getting a mortgage or insurance. And they should not be in a residential area anyway, but we're letting it happen here, so.
Do we have one here?
What's that?
No, they're not allowing a barn.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was gonna say, I hadn't noticed it.
Pole barns are another.
I'd almost rather look at a pole barn though than I would some of these other things that sit around there all trashed out. Or stuff sitting outside in their yard, we got someplace they can put it in.
Well, that would be nice if they
Did
would
you
do
see the new
that.
pole barn in Wellington? All their cars, trucks, their little skid steer, everything's outside still.
That was
Nothing's
one of the
inside. So
major concerns when they were building it. We want the building so we can put all our stuff in, so the neighborhood looks great, it's gonna improve everything. And then they build a building and all their skid steers, construction equipment, cars, everything's sitting outside the building on the lot, all around the building.
That's where we need enforcement.
That may be Eric's stuff.
And enforcement.
The skid steer still may be Eric's, I think, looks like
In
it.
my opinion, we should allow it in the first place,
Still doing
but we let it happen and now.
With the gravel.
the new covenants and restrictions, and I don't know how the board's doing with that.
Yeah, that needs to.
But in there, there's restrictions on pole barns. You're allowed to have them, but we put restrictions in there on height, size, width, all that.
See, we talked about that too during our, didn't we say we didn't want pole barns in there? We don't want pole barns in there.
Well, we take them
I
out.
don't want more construction.
I put them in to be nice,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah,
let
I
you guys
know,
decide what
we're
you
trying
wanna
to be
do.
nice, and the
Because they
thing
kept
is,
being
we, every,
Yeah, they
every
kept
time
being
we
improved, I
take,
just figured,
Well,
every time we
it's pole
relax
construction that
some
they
rule,
put hard.
we just, people keep pushing it.
if more and more people have dual lots along the lake, and we start building pole barns along the lake, they're cutting view for the people that are inside and don't live on the lake, and that isn't right either. So, you know,
Yeah.
and we were starting to have that now, so.
Oh, don't you think it's really a lack of communication? Because apparently the board members aren't getting the word from whoever took. the
Yeah, there is
message.
a lack of communication.
So whoever, board president, needs to convey that message to the members?
Right.
That's the way it used to work.
Okay, well, we're gonna work on that.
Yep.
Covenants and restrictions, we're working on finalizing those and getting them ready to send to the attorney. I know Jonathan was, we had a meeting about that and discussed our, final changes, and then Jonathan was gonna input them and get them over to the attorney. Eventually, everybody's gonna have a chance to review them and, to vote on that. Nominating committee, Jolene, do you don't have any update? do you?
Nothing updated, same as last month. Haven't had anybody new jump up and say, let me volunteer to be on the list of possible, incoming in January, is that when we get the
Yeah.
meeting?
November.
November? Okay, that's right, because in December they have to do the switch, so. But there are a few names on that list. I don't have it, Cece has it. She wasn't able to make it today, so. Linda, do you know who they were? Do you have any? No.
I don't think anybody told me.
I think,
I didn't ask.
I just let CC kind of be in charge of keeping track of all the names, too many things to
Well, we
have
don't
to keep
really
track
have
of.
an opening right now, so.
No, we,
it's not
waiting
an
for
issue.
our November meeting when we're gonna be.
I think we're gonna try to grow the board to 12 people, so that when people can't make it, we have enough.
To do business.
like tonight.
Yeah,
like close.
Well, we had 16 board members for years until about 2008 or 9.
Yeah.
And somebody said, oh, people don't wanna volunteer. I said, we have to ask them.
Yeah, that's true though, people don't want to volunteer. New business, any new business to discuss?
I only have one thing, and I don't, more of a question, but with the motocross nations coming in, and don't know if anybody's Airbnb, verboing their house or whatever, is there any like codes, like, hey, everybody's required to follow our rules, or like, I just don't, since we don't know that, and I know it's probably an attractive deal to rent your house during the weekend.
No, I don't really know, I think it's pretty much up to the property owners to, yeah.
Just everybody be on the lookout for everybody else.
Well,
That's
I
one
think
of,
there's-
that's one of the things we're looking to in the covenants and restrictions, prohibiting short-term rentals to, so that we don't have the Airbnbs, but.
Well, the present one says no business.
Right.
And so therefore,
Yeah.
Airbnb
Yeah.
is not legal.
Well, I think there's also some concern about people bringing in campers into certain lots and stuff that would hold campers and paying the person that owns that lot so they can stay there over the weekend. I think there's some concern about that as well. Not just a hard structure Airbnb, but turn it into an RV park, basically.
Camping, RVing.
Yeah.
So like Raccoon Lake.
So I do have an Airbnb in mind, just started it, a few months ago. And I did have, people from the first Ironman come in and, you know, they're here to sleep. I mean, they're not here to participate in lake activities. I mean, people I had in, they come in, you know, the festivities they were done at 6. I think other things were happening that evening, but they come in, they were tired, been at it all day. They come in and I didn't hear a peep out of them, and they took showers and went to bed, next morning they were up early and gone again, so, I think the majority of people are good people and are respectful, the ones that I've, run across so far. And, I do have it rented for Iron, the new one, the other one coming up too. And I guess my question on the covenants and restrictions was, so your guys' process on that, then you're looking at those documents, and then does it go to the attorney before, it goes to the the landowner or the property owners then to?
Yes.
And so then the property owners don't have a chance to, suggest or comment on it, like before it goes to the attorney?
Well, yeah, there was some, discussion on the board about, the procedure for that. And I would have liked to have seen more, input from property owners, but we didn't do that, so, yeah, it'll go to the attorney, and then it'll get voted on by the property owners. So there won't be direct input from, individual property owners.
Well, the
We
input
will have
from
a
the
chance to
property
vote
owners,
on
though,
it.
they put a call out to people, that's what Steve got on that board, was they put a call out to everybody and said, hey, if you wanna be on the board that's rewriting the covenants, come join us. There was quite a few of you until it got nailed down, what is it, 4 of you left? 4 of them were left in the end, cause all the other ones dropped out.
The rest of
But
it's smart
that's,
enough to
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But I lived, 3 blocks from the Indy 500 for 10 years, so I know, the fans were great, the people who stayed at our house were great, the Parkers were great. I understand all that, but, I think we don't want to have it where people are buying properties here and then turning them into B&Bs, and then we don't have, residents here who have skin in the game.
Right, and I do understand that concept, and one of the renters of the 3 that I've had, was, they own property out here, and their, family was coming in, and they were actually the first ones that stayed at my unit. And then, then there was another couple, or another guy out here at the lake, and they've got a wedding in September, and wanted to know, if their family members could stay out there. So, actually, 2 of the 4 have been people out here that need it for family. And that's, I lived out here 2 years before I built out here, and, I was a renter, full-time renter out here, and, so I saw the need for that a lot when I was living out here, that people were saying that, wow, we need room for our family to stay, it'd be nice if they could stay here, and that's what, well, I'll just put the studio apartment above my, garage and use it for an Airbnb whenever I choose to do that. So I just was wondering, on what the rules, like, that you're, asking for, how are they changing? Cause I just spent a lot of money in putting, a kitchen and a bathroom in above a garage that could become, could be changed,
Yeah.
so I just was wondering.
Well, that's the process that we're doing. So it'll come to the property owners, they'll have a chance to review and vote on it. So it's a matter of, what people want, if they want that in there or not.
And so that voting then will go like to each owner, by.
Yeah, I don't know if
or-
they'll do it by ballot, or we'll announce that we're gonna be voting on that, and then people will be allowed to vote at an open meeting on it, or how that will work, but
It's always been mailed.
in the past, they've been
They say
mailed.
that one needs to be a ballot.
So I hope that answers your question. I know that's probably not the answer you wanted to hear, but.
Well, I guess, I unfortunately just kind of been behind the 8 ball with my property and everything. I've been to the last 2 meetings just to try to, get, I know how important boards are, and, and as an owner, you know, it's important to know what's going on in associations. So I have property down in Florida with a condo and same thing, you know, I'm involved in those board meetings monthly, because if you don't go to the board meetings, you don't know what's going on.
Right.
So, unfortunately, I've just been trying to get my property up and running, and just now can kind of feel like I can get on board and start, you know, being a part of the neighborhood and the community, so,
Great, thank you.
try to get more involved.
Right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Is there anything else? Motion to adjourn? Jim, you've been quiet.
Yeah.
Tracy, motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All right. Motion, meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.